Hey everybody, this is Stacy again. And as you know, if you know me, it's a big issue of mine that you guys make sure you price your estimates correctly. And so in this presentation, which I'd like to call a podcast, and this is one for every trade, I have them individually. Going to begin. We are beginning now individually for each trade. Well, we'll give you trade specific stuff, but when we talk about man hour uh, estimates is, and that's what I teach, right? Is how to produce your estimate and in terms of man hours. That way, it's so much easier to break it down and to pick it apart when you do it that way. And so these are some of the things we want to make sure you always include or think about when you're doing your man hour estimates. Okay, so it's all the productive labor that's normally associated, okay, with installing materials that are in your estimate, every part and piece of your estimate. Okay. Now, the estimates that I help you with or that we do and that you are presenting in most cases is under normal conditions. Unless you've had a site visit, and that's where you need to start thinking technically when you go to look at these projects. If they give you a site visit, I would recommend going to it and looking for things that are outside the norm, right? Things where you'll have to get more labor to do or take more time to do, or it's intricate, or it's above the second story, it's third, fourth, fifth story stuff. Okay. And so those are the things you need to be thinking about. Okay. And so the ones that you produce are pretty much under normal conditions. Okay. With reasonable plans and managed in a good way to help you maintain the productivity that you assume you're going to maintain when you discuss the project, when you sign the contract. Okay. So these are the things I want you to think about that should also always be included in your estimate. So these are things like even unloading. One, let's go over number one. Let me number them. Unloading. And you know what? I'm going to mark this video because it may be a little longer. So we're going to say at 2:30, we're going to talk about the things that should be included in your estimates. Okay, so at point 2:30, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, pretty much. Okay, so these are the things. Number one, unloading and storing construction materials. That is a part of your productive labor. Okay, moving the tools and equipment around on and off site. That is a part of your productive labor. Okay, number two, working, and this is normal. Okay, this is normal conditions because I'm going to go over conditions that are not. So these are normal conditions. So number two, working no more than, okay, no more than 2 floors above or below ground level. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, working no more than 10 feet above an uncluttered floor. Okay, so you got to go above 10 feet and there's a bunch of stuff down there. I mean, that goes along really with OSHA standards too. Okay, so all that goes together. And really, when it comes to OSHA, per trade, and when I started my YouTube channel, I was surprised I didn't have one because of everything I knew. But I'm not the kind of you see, I rarely show my face, so I'm not a kind of this kind of person. But I know a lot of stuff that helps a lot of people, and that's cool. And I like that. And I'm getting older, so I want to make sure. Well, I'll be 60 in December, getting older. I want to make sure I leave stuff for you guys to pass along. And to women, if you're a woman and you're interested in getting into construction, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Trust me, construction needs a woman in every aspect, whether we're outside, inside, and in an appropriate way. Okay. And so if you're interested, if you're a woman, and I see I do have ladies that listen, email me. I will give you free construction education based on what you already do. Or if you're interested in getting into any aspect of it, trust me, any aspect of it's going to pay you. And so I'd be happy to discuss that with you. Unfortunately, my training isn't free for the advanced stuff like project management. That's pretty much it. But all of the basics and giving you clues on how to maneuver into estimating, because if you've never done this before, you're not going to just want to probably jump into being an estimator. Okay, so you'll probably want to learn, in which I'd like to have more women learn about the administrative roles and to become really strong in those areas, and then go out. And that's kind of what I've done myself. I mean, administratively, I know I can read a set of plans any set backwards and forwards, but now it's like, can I actually go out and set up a column? Let's go see. So I have tons of backyard to test on, and that's what I'm going to start doing. It's like I keep saying that, but I'm going through some things. I'm building up some stuff at the house that I live in before I start. But yeah, I'm gonna make me a nice, at least attempt to. I'm gonna set one column. If you could set one, and I've watched a lot of people I paid for here do it, and I'm like, all right, I could do that. It's all about digging the hole. Okay, can I dig the hole? What I'm gonna dig the hole with? Because everything else you can get at Home Depot, right? So, but I say that to say you are good at what you do, but you've got to be able to know the office stuff. And I think women are more trained for that because we just think differently and we're more organized. And statistics say that. That's not just Stacy saying it. Anytime there's a woman involved in any project, she if there's not a whole bunch of egos involved, she usually takes the lead because she's more calm about it and she's organized. Think about it. Women run households. Okay, most I know, including myself, for as old as my kids were before they left the house at 20 somethings. We've been running stuff since day one. So it's kind of logical that we would be able to run an office, especially construction. You know, that's like having a family, really. We could do it. And so if you are interested at all, please let me know. And I went off track. So, as always, so no more than 10 feet above a cluttered floor. Okay, because if so, then we have extra costs that, safety for one thing. Okay, and you have to get up and down, right? You have to get up and down, and you have to secure the I mean, it's the safety issue when we talk about cluttered floors and stuff like that. Because if we have to move our equipment and there's stuff there, that's extra labor to go around it, to go above it, to not fall on top of it. You see, so you got to think about that stuff because nowadays, I've heard some of the dumbest reasons why some subs don't get paid for the extra time they spend. I mean, just some of the dumbest reasons. And so when you start off in a way that understand what you should be getting paid for, then you don't have to trip about people that want to just treat you like it's 1864. Okay? No, we don't do that. All right. So one was unloading and storing construction material. Two was working no more than two floors above. That's normal. Two, you give them first and second floor. That's normal. Three, no more than 10 feet above. And just remember 2 and 10 above an uncluttered floor. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Five, normal time lost due to work breaks. Okay. And so work breaks. Let's define work breaks. Work stoppage, is that a work break? I don't know. And that's where something you need to make sure you have specifically in a contract. What happens when somebody else causes me not to be on time with what I need to do? Okay. And, don't be so afraid to ask that question. Oh, I got to work. If you're only going to be treated as well as you let them know what you expect. You're only going to be treated as well as you expect to be treated. And so if you let them bull crap you about this thing or that thing or something else, then you set up a precedent not only for them to do it to other people, which it comes around full circle to you the next time, or it just makes for so much greed out there because it's just greed not to pay people what they should be getting paid. It just is. And that's never good for anybody. not for the quality of your work, okay, not for your work attitude. You go to work knowing you're going to get ripped off, but you got to finish because you have a contract. What? How do you go to work like that? Okay, so it's more about doing things the right way because it's the right thing to do, other than just making money. Because there's a million ways. That's why people kill themselves to get to America. There are a million ways to make money in this country. Beating yourself out of your own money for somebody else's benefit should not be one of them. All right, I'm talking like I talk to my sons. Okay, they know. Especially the electrical tech. He knows he's not a slave. So he may be brown, but he's sure not a slave. He knows his worth, and that he's skinny and that he can get up in stuff. He knows that's worth something. So yeah, you should know it too. All right. So we got the time loss. So we'll have a second video talking about correction factors. Okay. And so, because I don't want this to go too long, because I keep drifting off. All right, correction factors are just, if it's not normal, then what percentage of labor do I add or subtract if it's easier than normal? You know, we give them a break too. Everything's not one time something, 1.5 or whatever. It's not always that. Sometimes they get a break because it is easier than normal. Okay, so correction factors will be on the next video. But now let's just keep talking about different stuff that's normal. Okay, so normal, you're supposed to add that. Normal breaks, you know, just like at your job, right? I guess maybe they make you, if you have a job, they make you work a little extra for your lunch or whatever, but because they can. But normal breaks, whatever it caused you to take a break, hey, that's part of the production cost. All right. And see, it says lost, time lost due to breaks. So time lost isn't lunch. You know what I'm saying? So that's not time lost. That's to be expected. So I'm almost thinking, make sure in your contract there's a provision for that thing because it's gonna come up. Okay, because the GC hires people. You don't hire the people you have to depend on to do the work. And as a matter of fact, just a story that one of my students told me, an electrician, say that some of the folks in there, some of the folks he worked with may not necessarily like him very well. And so they'll go and snip the electrical guy's conduit wire, whatever, so when something don't work after the drywall's put in. That's just some dirty stuff. And, I'm 60. You reap what you sow. You really do. And so let's try to build an atmosphere on these construction sites because the people that work on them are from all over the place. To where stuff like that doesn't happen because that's ridiculous and stupid. All right. So, normal time, because that's not normal. Okay. That dude's got to go back and fix that stuff probably for free. And then he can figure it out because he's intelligent, right? He knows where the breakage is. And then he can see that somebody just cut it. So that's really, and they can probably figure out it was either you or you because you and you came after me. So, that's stupid. On top of you can get caught. On top of maybe the GC won't ask you to come back no more because you've really wasted a lot of the project's time with something that insane and stupid. So if we're gonna be kids, then go out and work at Walmart or something. But adults, no matter who they have to work with, know how to do it with a professional attitude and work ethic. All right, here we go. Normal time. Back to that one. Okay, moving tools and equipment from a storage area because if it's new construction, they've got the storage area over there. This is the only place we got, Yeah, add those times up. That's why every day you should have a daily log of activities that go on and how long it takes. And if you are a sub on a project, at the end of that day, it would be very wise for you to have somebody initial that. And if they don't have time for that, just make it available, just print it out for them and email it to them. That's what we did today. Could you please confirm and take pictures, whatever, because, hey, people are greedy. And a lot of these construction dudes have terrible money management skills. So, subs too. Okay. So do all of that because that's important. Okay. Moving equipment to and from the storage area. Okay. Normal. Now, if it's more than 200 feet, then we add to that. Okay. So keep that in mind. More than 200 feet. That's excessive, but we talk about that next time. Okay, returning tools and equipment to the storage. So moving them around, returning them at the end of the day, all of that is part of your regular production. Okay, so that should be a line item in your estimate. Okay, planning and discussing the project. And planning and discussing what should be done. Tool talks, that kind of safety talks, all that stuff is really part of if you're a good construction firm, because somebody could technically die in any construction firm, any construction site, somebody could not go home at the end of the day because of the work that's done. So yeah, that should be regular part of your production time and something that should go on every day, and you shouldn't let anybody rush you to where it does not go on every day, and it should be documented. Okay, that's why you need women in construction. Okay, because everybody's on the other end so worried about hurrying up making the money or whatever. It's all money related. Let's focus more on doing a good job for the owner, making a stellar project that doesn't crack, leak, fall down in the future, and everybody get paid what they're worth. That would be a wonderful place to land these days. All right. So, yeah, every day you should be planning and discussing the project and the work that should be performed for that day. It should be documented. At the end of the day, you should have done it. And if you didn't do it, that should be documented too. Okay. And that's why I encourage you, if you haven't already signed up with me, to sign up for the workshop where I show you how to do your, document management. Get a scanner. HP has them for cheap now, the way you can have it in your office. Scan it at the end of the day, file it, put it in the right file folder, shred the paper. If you already have Gmail, then you have a ton of storage already. You don't need anything else. Only the GCs really need all that because they got tons of projects they're probably looking at. Okay, but as a sub, and rotate those projects in and rotate them out as far as storage. Okay, take the workshop, it would help you very much so. Or hire a woman, okay, because she will tell you to do all of this. All right. Let's see what else. Normal handling, measuring, cutting, and fitting. Well, that's part of the project. Okay. And two, let me add to that. If something's not right, and all of a sudden, if you're working this, and it always happens when you have small GCs that are working multiple projects, and now they know there's something that's not right, so they make you go get the right thing when they're supposed to have the right thing. That stuff you charge them for too. Or if you got what they told you was the right thing and end up being the wrong thing, and then you have to go back, you charge them for that. You charge them for time and material every time something is different than what you've agreed upon, or if there's something that you discover that wasn't there that you have to correct before you can move on. That's time and material. So if you keep doing that often enough, and especially when they want all these changes all the time, especially in residential, they'll stop because it starts to cost too much. Okay? Because if you just do everything for free, guess what? It doesn't cost them too much. And so that's why you need to have a contract, especially if you work in residential and You primarily work residential, there's tons of resources for you to sign up for $150 a year, whatever. Well, you get a state specific contract where you can draw out the terms and the payment terms and all of that, and it knows what to put in there because that's what it does. Okay, especially with AI, they're probably even better. I'm talking about the one I had 15 years ago. Okay, now they're probably better. Don't do anything without a contract, or else you're not a real business owner. You're just somebody just trying to make some money real quick. Because in the end, the contract protects you. Come on. All right, so I got a couple more of these before we call it a day. So the normal handling, measuring, cutting, fitting, yeah, that's part of the project. Okay. Especially if it's some specialty thing, tile that they want up and down and around. Okay, don't cheap yourself out on your labor when it comes to that, because, or else have somebody else do it. Because, you know, good labor is expensive in some cases. And if they want cheap labor, then they don't want a really good job. Because nothing, I mean, really, who wants to go and buy something cheap and think it's going to last? Come on now. That's why I buy Nikes. And now I stopped buying them because of other stuff. But you buy a 200 pair of Nikes, for me personally, they last 20. I've had a pair of Nikes 20 years, still looking good. Okay? Yeah, because they're not cheap. As opposed to some Shacks. Remember when they sold? No, you probably don't. You weren't probably born. But yeah, you got them from Walmart and they lasted about 30 days before they started to squeak. All right. So just let people know. Don't start, because a lot of people are out there right now because of COVID started their own businesses and, you know, and I understand that. And hey, I used to do electrical estimates for $70. Huge ones. I was like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? Yeah, I didn't know my worth. Okay. I really didn't. Same with you. All right. If you're doing that, there's enough. I mean, man, if you're good at what you do and you have a license and all that, there's no reason to cheat yourself. So just know these are the things you should be charging for. And in the next video, okay, once I do it, I'll attach it to this one and vice versa. You'll know what extra to charge for. All right, so we got a couple more to go. Regular cleanup, that's second to last. And this is a big one, the very last one. So regular cleanup, okay, when you got to clean up. That's not free. Okay, and this last one I think is important. So I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 10th one I think is important. So it says infrequent correction or repairs required because of faulty installation. Okay, so that was a good one because I didn't see that one coming. All right. So again, with the guy that's cutting the wire because he's hating on the electrician and then putting up the drywall, that's that. Okay. I have to charge you. So as the electrician, you go ahead and take pictures, send it to your insurance company. Maybe you can get, somehow, whatever. Because, I mean, I was a construction defect litigation adjuster. There's a lot of stuff in that. With somebody else. If you can figure out who cut the wire, that guy owes you for that, or lady. Okay, so that's how deep that can go. So don't play those kind of games. Because me personally, that's the way we would go. Okay, or I'd be saying, hey, so one of these guys after me, ABC Drywall, don't work with them because they cutting your stuff and then putting up their drywall. Yeah, so it goes both ways. So yeah, I gotta charge you for somebody else's faulty work that messed my stuff up. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to charge you for that. So that's an important thing to make sure you have in a contract. Oh my Jesus. Sorry. I try to keep religion out, especially Jesus. Oh my God. Okay. But yeah, that's one you make sure for certain it is in the contract. So this is Stacy. Please like, subscribe, join, go to the website, join there, get everything you need to be the professional God has, haha, and the universe has created you to be. See you next time.